Hello everyone, I'm Gloria and I will be presenting Chapter 12 BPM as an Enterprise Capability from the book Fundamentals of Business Process Management. When a business process needs improvement, software tools and systems that support the application are used to effectively manage these processes. For this, a BPM project is carried out to achieve the design improvement goals, regardless of whether they are related to efficiency, quality, or anything else. Thus, multiple BPM projects are being conducted at the same time within the same organization. A set of BPM projects within a company, including its specific management structure, is called a BPM program. Depending on various characteristics like the overall performance of an organization, its size, and its context. The number of concurrent projects may be high, and the scope of the individual project themselves may be large. As a result, the coordination of the BPM program may become extremely complex, and individual projects may fail altogether because of their decreasing relevance or lack of progress. In this chapter, we will focus on how to successfully manage a BPM program with the help of BPM as an enterprise capability. We will also look at transversal aspects of BPM, such as governance and strategic alignment, and discuss how these are critical to avoid the failure reasons. Next, we organize these aspects in a BPM maturity model and show how to use this model to assess the BPM maturity of an organization. Let us start by understanding the common reasons for BPM failure. BPM success should link to business success, that is, the ability to meet or exceed the business performance objectives that are part of the corporate strategy and not a function of the quality of an activity or an artifact. The common reasons for the failure of BPM program includes a sole focus on BPM methods and tools, not on business goals. This means that the focus is exclusively on methods and tools along the various phases of BPM lifecycle. The perspective is then lost on what effective goal can be derived from the application. The second reason for BPM failure is the belief that BPM is the single source of truth. This isn't true, for there are other management concepts that can deliver value to organizations too. We simply need to reinforce them altogether. Also, BPM is not something that comes naturally to everyone. People are often highly committed to their job and to the activities they perform and may not easily adapt to BPM. The next reason is BPM projects that are managed as isolated silos. That is, it is a holistic management concept which stresses the relevance of looking at the relations between activities, people, and technology to deliver products and services, and therefore BPM projects are managed in isolation from each other, which can create confusion among the participants. And lastly, an overall inability to change. BPM is concerned with introducing the new process models like the to be process model, which also fails to adapt these operational processes. After looking at the various reasons of BPM failure, let us now learn the success factors to deal with multiple projects at the same time. First of all, we need to employ methods and tools for managing individual projects and for managing the entire program. These are not specifically related to BPM and can be adapted from current project management practices. A mature BPM organization should thoroughly apply a variety of BPM specific methods and tools across the various phases of BPM lifecycle, coordinated by the use of methods and tools for project and program management. There is a need for governance structure when moving from project to a program dimension. Also, we need to clearly define desired process outcomes and process performance measures based on objectives of process customers and stakeholders. Next, we need skilled employees for the organization, both in terms of BPM knowledge by those who are expected to apply it, as well as in terms of process knowledge by those who participate in the process. Without the right skill set, the use of PPM methods and tools will not be effective. Next, we need to set corporate values and beliefs which may contribute to shaping the process thinking mindset of employees. With this, let us identify the 6 factors that are critical for the success of BPM program, starting with strategic alignment, governance, methods, IT, people, and culture. As the organization ascends through each phase of maturity, the achievement of its critical success factors must also evolve. Leading organizations take a balanced approach to managing 6 critical success factors. Managed together, they represent the framework from which BPM competencies are built. Here are the 6 success factors with 5 capability areas each. Let us start by understanding IT and methods. Heavily IT supported methods are needed in all BPM lifecycle phases. In the digital age, process design should fit multiple purposes. Example, customer centric, risk aware, or flexibility aware processes, and enable mass personalized processes. Process execution must support the dynamic redesign of business process as well as the handling of emerging processes and processes when no process models are available. Process improvement must support an agile and a transformational mode. The agile mode, for example, must enable the natural and rapid redesign of business processes as well as the fast data-driven assessment of these processes based on performance data and customer feedback. Process automation, on the other hand, must tackle unstructured tasks and enable new forms of human-machine interaction by leveraging opportunities of digital technologies such as cognitive automation, social robotics, and smart devices. Next, we focus on strategic alignment, which measures the role and impact of business strategy on BPM and vice versa. The capabilities are broken down as strategy-driven BPM project planning, which refers to the level of strategy alignment throughout the BPM lifecycle. This is defined by the choice of which methods and tools we use in each phase of lifecycle. The next capability area is the strategy and process capability linkage, which captures the bidirectional relation between strategy and business processes. This area involves the strategic implications that exist for our business processes, strategy to process, vice versa. Another capability area is the enterprise process architecture. An enterprise-wide process architecture can offer a high-level yet comprehensive value on how the organization delivers value to its customers and stakeholders via its set of core processes, and how these processes are enabled by the support processes and how they are regulated by managed processes. The next capability area under strategic alignment is process performance measures. In order to measure process performance and ultimately to translate business strategy into process objectives, we need to clearly define objectives and related process measures for each business process. This information needs to be shared among all relevant process stakeholders. It is important that process performance measures are standardized across processes and process variants to enable cross-process measurements and hierarchical aggregations. The last capability area is process customers and stakeholders. This area focuses on process stakeholders such as company stakeholders, executives, and government bodies, as well as on customers and other external parties who have an interest or participate in the process. This means taking into account the various priorities that influential individuals or groups have, which are often conflicting. Next we have is governance. Governance establishes relevant and transparent accountability and discussion making processes to align rewards and guide actions. The first capability area under this is BPM decision making. A critical challenge for BPM governance is the clear definition and consistent execution of related BPM decision making process that guide actions in both expected and unexpected circumstances. For example, who can take the decision to start or stop a BPM project? In addition to who can make the decision, it is important to stipulate the required speed of decision making. In BPM decision making, we determine the whole approach to BPM, what decisions to take and when. Another capability area of BPM governance is BPM roles and responsibilities. This covers the entire range of BPM related roles, from process analysts to process owners. A process performance measurement system is required for the efficient measurement of process performance. This capability area specifies who is accountable for measuring process performance, which procedures are to be followed for performing the measurements, and what supporting tools should be used. BPM standards, conventions, and guidelines must be clearly defined and documented to ensure consistency across BPM projects and the sustainability of the overall BPM program. BPM standards define which methods and software tools are to be used across the BPM lifecycle. They also include the standardization of project and program management methods and tools to ensure the effective coordination of different projects within the BPM program. Guidelines and conventions restrict the use of such methods and tools. Guidelines and conventions also apply to other phases of life cycle beyond discovery. Finally, BPM quality control captures the regular review cycles on BPM projects to maintain the quality and currency of process management principles. Our next success factor of BPM maturity is people. Here, people's knowledge is used to realize improvement of business process performance. This critical success factor involves the following capability areas. Number one is process knowledge, which relates to the comprehensiveness and depth of capabilities of all the involved stakeholders in light of specific requirements of a process. For people who fulfill a process oriented role, such as process owners and the regular process participant, it is obvious that they need to understand a business process in depth. The second capability area is BPM knowledge, which captures both the explicit and the implicit knowledge about BPM principles and practices among people. The people who fulfill a BPM role, this capability area is also about their knowledge and of the skillfulness in existing BPM methods, techniques, and tools. Next area is BPM and process training, which captures to what extent an organization invests in the development and maintenance of BPM skills and process knowledge. It relates to the content of educational programs, internal or external, that are valuable to the employees of the company, the organizational efforts taken to let these people follow such programs. Example, incentive schemes for participating in training, such as reduced workloads, and the certificates that can be acquired by following these. Training is related both to upskilling in knowledge of BPM methods, techniques, and tools for those involved in BPM programs. Many large organizations, for example, have set up internal programs to train their employees in the application of Six Sigma techniques. Employees can acquire belts of different colors, example green belt, black belt, blue belt, as certificates for the programs they have completed. The process collaboration and communication area focuses on the way individuals and groups interact in order to achieve desired process outcomes in a collaborative manner. This area relates to the formal channels that are used in the communication between process stakeholders, such as process participants and process owners. For example, in terms of meetings and briefings that take place. The final capability area related to people factor is the propensity to lead BPM. Any required changes in BPM projects and programs should be led by the senior management. It is important to distinguish between the formal role that people have on the one hand and actual role that people perform. Next we have is culture. Culture quantifies the extent to which corporate culture is supportive of BPM. Corporate culture, in essence, refers to the values and beliefs of the persons working in the organization, and more specifically, how far these stimulate a process thinking mindset and a positive attitude towards process redesign. Responsiveness to process change describes how easy it is for process stakeholders to embrace new ways of carrying out processes. One of the key benefits of BPM is the ability of an organization to respond to environmental changes quickly and to derive innovation internally. For this reason, BPM is often described as a dynamic capability. Process values and beliefs are associated with how explicitly members of the organization think in terms of processes and which positive attitudes are related to this. Adherence to process design is closely related with the overall acceptance of BPM principles and ideas. Process participants who adhere to the process design mostly act in this way because of a deeper understanding of the dependencies between different tasks in the process and overall benefits that result from working in a well organized fashion. Next, management support is mentioned as the most important success leadership attention to BPM factor at all. Such factor is not self-evident and requires ongoing on different levels. Finally, the principles and the ideas of BPM should not only be clear to process analysts but also to any stakeholder group in the organization. BPM social network involves all initiatives beyond formally defined projects that stipulate the exchange of experiences in BPM communities. Often such events and meetings are supported with social media technologies such as Yammer, Facebook, or Twitter. In the management of business processes, we can distinguish two complementary approaches to maturity assessment: BPM maturity and process maturity. First, let us focus on process maturity assessment. Assessment on how broad and deep a given spectrum of business process is within the organization is the process maturity, which is supported by capability maturity model integration. by the CMMI Institute. This framework distinguishes a number of so-called process areas. There are three domain-independent areas: process management, project management, and support, plus various other areas that are specific for a particular domain. The higher the level of maturity, the broader the spectrum of processes the company is engaged in, and higher the level of sophistication of an individual process, ranging from generic to specific practices. The five CMMI maturity levels are level 1, which is initial, level 2, which is managed, level 3, which is defined, level 4, which is quantitatively managed, and level 5, which is optimizing. Next, we have is BPM maturity. BPM maturity is the assessment on how broad and deep a given spectrum of BPM activities is within the BPM program of an organization. Maturity levels are as follows. Level 1, initial. At this level of maturity, BPM is non-existing or rarely used within the organization. When available, BPM projects are carried out in an ad hoc fashion within individual IT or business divisions. Such initiatives are uncoordinated and have a limited scope and minimal employee involvement. Level 2 is managed. The organization starts capitalizing on its first BPM experiences to build up BPM capabilities. A process thinking mindset starts to emerge among its employees. As the awareness of BPM increases, the first processes are documented and analyzed. There is also increasing involvement of the management level through knowledge of BPM methods and tools remains with external experts. Next is level 3, define. The organization reaps the benefits of the first BPM projects, though the focus is still on the early stages of BPM life cycle. The use of methods and tools becomes more sophisticated. In-house BPM training is established to reduce the dependence upon external experts. The first process collaboration and communication forums are set up to facilitate the dissemination of BPM experiences. Next we have is level 4, which is quantitatively managed. The focus of BPM projects shift towards the last phases of the life cycle. Change management accompanies BPM projects to guarantee the acceptance of the redesigned processes. Systematic performance monitoring ensures that BPM projects deliver strategic benefits. A BPM Center of Excellence is established with well-defined roles to coordinate all BPM efforts. This is a process orientation in every project, and the company minimally relies on external expertise. Lastly, level 5, which is optimizing. BPM methods and tools are widely accepted and are standardized. Company-wide approach to BPM is in place. A BPM becomes the way business is done. The BPM Center of Excellence reduces in size. Now let us look at the patterns of BPM maturity, wherein we have the blue pattern, which is high in strategic alignment and governance, and it is low elsewhere. The orange pattern, which says that it is high in methods and IT, and it is low elsewhere. And the green pattern, which says that it is low everywhere else except it is medium for people and culture. Last, let us discuss about the 10 principles of a good BPM. The first is principle of context awareness, where BPM should fit the organizational context. It should not follow a cookbook approach. Second is principle of continuity BPM, which should be a permanent practice. It should not be a off project. Third is principle of enablement, where BPM should develop capabilities. It should not be limited to firefighting. Fourth is principle of holism, where BPM should be inclusive in scope. It should not have an isolated focus. Next is principle of institutionalization, where BPM should be embedded in the organizational structure. It should not be an ad hoc responsibility. The next is principles of involvement, where BPM should integrate all stakeholders. It should not neglect employee participation. Next is principle of joint understanding, where BPM should create shared meaning. It should not be the language of only the experts. Eighth is principle of purpose, where BPM should contribute to strategic value creation. It should not be done for the sake of just doing it. Ninth is principle of simplicity, where BPM should be economical. It should not be over-engineered. Lastly, principle of technology appropriation, where BPM should be opportune use of technology. It should not consider technology management as an afterthought. Hereby, I conclude that this chapter is argued that to achieve sustainable success with BPM, we need to go beyond the application of methods, techniques, and software tools and consider BPM as an enterprise capability embedded in the corporate structure. BPM should not be seen as an off project, but as a coordinated set of projects developed over time. Each of these should improve one or more specific business processes via the BPM life cycle. Thank you.